Gigante. Jeff has been building brands in the Tampa Bay area for the past 25 years, including iconic establishments such as for Beaches, Green Lemon, and Water and Flower. As co-founder of the Chichio Group and now Next Level Brands Hospitality, Jeff provides valuable insight into the world of brand development. Without further ado, please welcome Jeff Gigante.
Well, thank you guys. As I was so eloquently introduced, my name is Jeff Gigante. Next Level Brands Hospitality is my current company, but I started building brands here many, many years ago under Chichio Restaurant Group. So how many of you guys have heard of Fresh Kitchen, Daily Eats, Green Lemon? We did have The Lodge, now it's called Love Child. So we built lots of brands. With that first company, we built 25 different restaurants. And I celebrated in March of this year serving my 30 millionth meal in my career. So I say that because I was a C student, discount lunch kid who was really never meant to amount to much, but I got bit by the brand building bug at a very young age. I had a presentation, but we weren't able to kind of get it going, so I'll just kind of talk through. And a lot of the brands that I built locally in town kind of spun right out of this school at the University of Tampa in the Loweth Entrepreneurship Center. I've been an entrepreneur in residence here with office hours there since 2016. And one of my colleagues over there, John Phillips, who actually is my labor attorney for my companies, his son Matt Phillips went to University of Tampa at the time, and we were both entrepreneurs over there. And he called me in one day and said, you know, my son doesn't listen to me just like at home. He doesn't listen to me here. Will you sit with Matt and talk about an idea he has? So I sat with Matt and his good buddy, Charlie. They were both juniors, I believe, and they had an idea of forming a content creator company. And because Charlie was a content creator. And, you know, at the time, I wasn't really in on YouTube and all of that stuff, but I had an 8-year-old son, and he was a YouTube fanatic. So I went home and I told him this name. He went by Critical at that time. And my son comes back into the room after he went and researched, and he's like, Dad, you don't let me listen to people like Critical, because he was super vulgar, lots of F words and everything else. And so I went back and I talked with those guys, and I said, well, if you guys are looking to monetize, it's going to be hard to find brands that want to kind of get behind your content. And so they took that in stride, went, worked, tried to clean up their brand, came back 2 semesters later with a contract for Bang energy drink for $500,000. They put it on my desk and they said, we cleaned up some content and we have real sponsors wanting to kind of get behind what we're doing. So we formed a company called Human Media Group in 2018. And I'm very proud of them because they bought me out last year for a very big number, which, you know, of course, they came with a much smaller number. But again, part of my tutelage for them was, look, you've got to build the value, build your brand value, build your story. And the first year that we worked together, we did a little over $2 million in sales. The year after that, we did $9 million in sales. And this year, which is this is going into their 4th year, I've been out for about a year and a half, they'll do a little under 30 million in sales. So these are 26-year-old kids all making, you know, probably $4 to $5 million each right out of this school. And so Charlie White is that gentleman. He goes by Moist Critical. He's got a little over 14 million subscribers on YouTube. But he started right out of this school, and they built that amazing company. And we talked all about, you know, the most important thing you do when you're building your brand and creating, you know, all of the operational agreements is how do you get investors out? What's the exit strategy? So which is not typical thinking. You think like when you're building a brand, you think about how, you know, the company kind of offloads some of their investorship. So, but that's the most important thing, because you don't want to build a company that explodes and becomes super valuable and then not have outs in your contracts. So we had that, and it ended up working out great for them and great for myself. But that all came from this school right here. So what I'm trying to let you guys know is that you guys are in the absolute perfect place to be honing your careers or getting inspired about what you're going to do, and it's all happening right within this town. So as I said, I've been building brands, restaurants for many, many years, and I've never been more excited about where Tampa is as a city. So I'm sure you guys knowing this, you know, not everybody's from here, but understanding like the excitement of the Water Street development, that's Bill Gates's money that came in behind there. Cascade funded that entire thing. And actually, I know you guys had Jeff Gigante here a few weeks ago. Jeff and Penny are wonderful stewards of what Tampa has become. And, you know, with Jeff's taking on and buying the Lightning and completely revamping Amalie Arena, and then having the vision to really want to put Tampa on the map as far as creating a city center. You know, buying up 9 million square feet downtown and just having the vision to have this city come out of the ground. And that takes me to where Next Level Brands came, because when I was about 2017, we had 18 restaurants at CRG. I was the co-CEO, co-founder, and we had, you know, lots of partners. But we started to really go in an edge of the youth. Oh, wow, here we are. Okay, so we'll talk about that. So that's Human Media Group, Next Level Brands, CRG. This is a couple other companies I'll talk about briefly. That's amazing, though. Let's give a hand for whoever the tech was. That was awesome. I found that I was not fulfilled anymore at CRG because we were building fast casual restaurants. The Cali's, Taco Dirty, Fresh Kitchen. Well, my passion is experiential full service dining. The Chichos, which is now Water Flower, Green Lemon, Daily Eats. Those are the concepts that I really love and put my heart and soul in, because I'm all about relationship. And you know, the three things we're going to talk about that kind of took me on my career path and has led me to success beyond my dreams were relationships, innovation, and work ethic. These three things, if you guys even master 1 to 2 of them, you're going to have the lives that all of your colleagues and peers dream about. And it's not difficult, but it takes effort, discipline, and stick-to-itiveness. Very, very important. And so we'll go through this. Relationships and networking. So I don't like the word networking, because if you do it properly, it's not work at all. It's just basically relationships. You never know when you're going to meet your future business partner, employer, investor. When meeting people, be all value added. Give more than you take, listen more than you talk. When you leave, make a note of the meeting with their name and their business affiliation, if any. You want to build your little black book. That will become priceless. So you guys are in a super hot city center of Tampa, Florida. There is tech companies, billion-dollar tech companies, finance companies, lots of incubators coming here, hospitality companies, marketing agencies. Everybody's flocking to Tampa. I mean, we've overpassed Miami as the #1 city of growth and industry. And that's because the opportunity is amazing. We're surrounded by beaches. I'm sure you guys have found those. We've got amazing infrastructure within the city. Now, traffic's starting to get but that's okay. That's what happens when cities grow. But that being said, best airport in the country. Innovation. So innovation, Steve Jobs, I'm sure you guys all know of him. Design, invention, development, and or implementation of new or altered products, like building a better mousetrap. It's amazing that, you know, you hear these companies that come out and they take a traditional product that has been there for 100 years, and through their lens, they just look at it a little differently, reinvent it, redesign it, and magically now they're a billion-dollar company. So there's, you know, and again, people are like, God, you know, to come up with something unique and something truly that's original, you don't need to do that. Like, I've never done that in food. We look at the landscape of restaurants in this Tampa Bay area and see what's missing, and then look around the world at who's leading in those different categories. Take our take on that and come in and create concepts. Altered products, services, processes, systems, organizational structures, or business models for the purpose of creating new value for customers and financial returns for the firm. Innovation comes from people meeting up in hallways, calling each other at 10:30 at night with a new idea, or because they realize something that shoots holes in how we've been thinking about a problem. So again, building a better mousetrap. This is things that we've done in many different businesses. And for me, there's nothing better than getting that aha moment when you're there thinking and you're like, oh my God, what if we took that idea, turned it this way, added some more of this, and see how that would work. And then the process starts to begin. How are we doing? Good? All right, brother. Okay, work ethic. Principle that hard work is intrinsically virtuous and worthy of reward. Hard work worth doing. Teddy Roosevelt's a big inspiration of mine, and he talked about hard work worth doing. There's nothing more virtuous in the world than that. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I'm just telling you, discipline and hard work outbeats talent every single day of the week. Now, you can be talent and lazy and not really go far. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. All about hard work. So there's another saying, it says, chop your own wood, it'll warm you twice. Anybody have any idea how that would, what that means? Chop your own wood, it'll warm you twice. Yeah, let's hear it.
You get hot when you chop wood.
That's right.
And you get warm by burning it.
By burning it, that's right. So, again, another saying, you can't hire somebody to do the push-ups for you so you can get in shape. These are things that you have to do, and I'm telling you, work ethic, like my grandfather, I remember when I must have been 5 years old. He said, Jeffrey, you want to be successful? I was like, I sure do, Pop. First one in, last one to leave, and outwork everybody in the room. He said, your bosses will have absolutely no options but to just keep raising you up. And that stuck in my head at a very young age, and I just always wanted to be successful, so I was always early. I came in, we were talking about it today. I probably got here 30 minutes early. But for me, it all comes down to being prepared. You never know when opportunity is going to strike. So the more time you give yourself at wherever you're going, the more possibilities for opportunities happen. Okay, first age, 9 years old, I started, that's Curly. So he gets super pissed whenever I speak and people capture this on social media. He's a grown man now with a beautiful family. Tim Brand, but yeah, obviously we called him Curly. So he was my next door neighbor, lived in a little condo association, and we lived right next to a golf course, a public golf course. And so we would play manhunt right over there by the golf course, and we'd be whipping these little white balls at each other. And those were golf balls, obviously. And I just remember saying to myself, we're way away from the golf course. These guys really are terrible golfers. Look at the balls are all over here. So one morning we said, you know what? That was a Friday afternoon when we had this aha moment. And we said, tomorrow morning, let's wake up super early. And so he was an early riser. So he came to my window and threw little pebbles. And we got up. I threw on old sweatpants and sneakers. I must have been 10 years old, probably 9. And we went golf ball hunting. Well, we found 400 or 500 golf balls that day. Went back to my house, polished them up. I'll deny this, but we stole a golf ball washer from the 9th hole. Used that. I put it back the next morning. But that was it. We started our business. So we had all these golf balls, and I was like, we've got to sell these to the golfers. They're terrible. They must be missing golf balls. So we decided we're going to hop the fence early that morning, and it was I think it was on the 8th hole right there by our driveway. So I told my mom, I said, can you do me a favor? Go buy us a bunch of cases of soda. Because I was already thinking, brand, how do I add value? So we went golf ball hunting. So we opened up shop. 3 balls with the soda for $3, 6 balls with the soda for $5. 25, 27, 2,527 ROI, because it absolutely cost us nothing except for, at that time, the case of soda I think was $1.50. So this is long before any of you guys ever walked this planet. So sodas were, a dime a piece or whatever, nickel a piece. And I just wanted to add extra value to this. These guys are going to be hot. It's the 8th hole. They've been playing for an hour or so. And so everybody took the $5 deal, so I declared myself president of that company. We made each $125 that day. So this is 1978, guys. So when you got $125 under your mattress and you're not selling pot, you're doing something right. So we became the kings of the neighborhood. New skateboard, new sneakers. I was loaning my sister, who was 6 years older than me, money at 11%. Interest rates were high at that time. And I just knew I was bit by this bug. Well, 4 weeks in, here comes the Rangers up on their golf cart to close our business down. And I was like, guys, we can't close right now. We're not out of our golf balls. They're like, okay, so here's how this works. You don't work here. You don't belong here. And if you don't want to take it from us, we can have St. Pete Police Department come in and explain. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. So we packed up, and that was the end of that business. But I got bit by the bug then. So I opened up shop at school. I was selling cinnamon toothpicks and all kinds of, I'd have my mom take me to Costco and I'd get all the sour candies and all that stuff. And I was making on average about $20 a day at school. And I'd only be selling product for about an hour. So when my mom was flipping out because I was getting D's, I said, Ma, don't worry. Pro rata, I'm making more money per hour than the teachers. And so she always said at that time, like, she was not happy with me and I didn't get to go out that weekend. That being said, later in life, she would talk back and she goes, that one day when you told me you were making more money than the teachers is the last day that I worried about you in life. I knew that you were going to be just fine. So that being said, that's all the hustle. That's work ethic. That was, me learning the value of a dollar and like creating something out of nothing. But for me, that stayed with me throughout my entire career. I did the whole thing where you sold knives door to door, you sold encyclopedias, all that stuff. I sold everything I could. I was in junior achievement. Opened up my first business, my first restaurant, my senior year at Florida State. Borrowed $30,000 from a wealthy high school buddy of ours who, he believed in me because he knew all my hustle in the early. He's like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Well, it was not amazing. No, I take that back. It was amazing, but it was not successful. It was amazing in showing me some of the major business metrics and processes that I lacked. Now, I was an acting student. I was there to become an actor. And I walked on at Florida State, and I was a punter place kicker there. All of those things were great and built into my life, but when I had this idea to open up this restaurant, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I saw these other guys opening up a Gumby pizza, and I was like, these guys don't look like they know what the hell they're doing. We can do it better. Came up with my business plan, borrowed the money. Florida State, busy college campus, no experience in knowledge, business or hospitality, no experience to recipe make. So my partner in that, his father was an Italian, expat who came here, immigrant, and opened up pizzerias. So he's like, listen, my dad will come teach us how to make pizza. Let's just build the whole place out. 2 weeks before we open, he'll come, he'll teach us the sauce, how to do everything. I was like, this is an amazing plan. So we're 2 weeks before, we're ready to open, everything's good, we have a big night. It was the Festival of Lights at Florida State. It was a very big night in November, and that was about 10 days away. So I said, okay, call your dad. So he comes back in the room with just looked like he'd just seen a ghost. I was like, bro, that's not a good look. What happened? He goes, my dad got deported to Italy last Tuesday. I said, okay, so, well, who's gonna come teach us? He's like, we gave it a good try. And right then I realized, oh my God, I chose the wrong business partner. It's like we borrowed $30,000. Now, at that time, guys, $30,000 might as well have been $30 million to me. Again, discount lunch, high school educated. My mom worked very hard, 2 jobs, single mom, raised us, but we didn't have money. I had hustle, I had work ethic. I could always make things happen, but I was thinking, oh my God, how are we going to pay this guy back? And I was like, we can't quit before we even open. So I said to him, I was like, okay, so where is your dad? He's like, he's at my Aunt Linda's in Italy. I was like, well, does Aunt Linda have a phone? He's like, yes. I was like, get a number. Tonight we're gonna make a phone call. Well, guys, this is pre-smartphone. So our phones were very stupid. I'm sure our professor in the back can equate to this. So I had to go to whatever mart existed, I think it was Kmart, and buy a 30-foot cord because our baking oven with the mixer and everything was in the back of the restaurant and there was no phone jacks there. So we got the phone and we had a 7-hour phone call with Mario Adamo in Italy teaching us how to make the dough, how to make the sauce, how to saute the vegetables, how to fry the chicken, everything. And now that phone bill was probably $700 that came in 2 or 3 months later. because it was super expensive to talk to Italy all night. But for me, that's innovation. That's overcoming adversity. That is what owning your own business, marketing, building a brand, that's what it's all about. If I would have just went along with my partner, it would have been like, okay, we're done. Let's go give the lease back. Let's go call our friend and see that we'll be paying them forever. So we ended up doing that. We opened to rave reviews. We had 25 drivers on Friday and Saturday nights. It was amazing. We were doing $15,000, $16,000 a week, which is about, $800,000 a year, which again, 1991, that's a lot of money. And for a bunch of 18, 19, I think I was 20 at the time. So that being said, that was my education. I can't tell you all that I learned at Florida State, except opening that business, realizing what sales tax was, how to kind of incorporate, how to do all of the business metrics and all of that. So I did that for 6 months, but that wasn't my dream. My dream was I'm going to New York. I wanted this business to support me, give me little $500 checks each month so I could pay rent and have a life up there. So I got the first check, it cleared, everything was perfect. I got the second check, it bounced. I called them. Oh, don't worry, just wait till next Wednesday, then cash that check. I cashed it, it worked. There was never another check. So after I had left, those guys had, discovered that I kind of was the glue that was holding everything together. It was 2 other partners there. And we closed down that business. So this was it, Gigamo Brothers. Makers of authentic pizza and pasta. Now, that's such a crock of shit. I mean, we weren't making anything authentic, but that was branding. That was the story that we wanted to tell, and we told it very, very well. So that's my buddy Mike Adamo, Gigante and Adamo, Gigamo. So that's how we came up with our name. This is Chuck the Country. That's a buddy of ours. He was a roommate of a friend of ours who his dad owned like 50 dealerships in Alpharetta, Georgia. So he always had money. So he bought in. I think we sold him 10% of the company for $10,000 when the entire company cost $30,000. But he had the money and we needed it at that time. And so, but he was a very hardworking guy. And I'm still very close with these guys. I talk to them all the time. But this was, us in the kitchen. And again, for me, it was the journey was everything. Like we were so excited to have a dream, conceptualize that dream, come up with how do you make the dream happen, open the doors, now the dream's alive, that's your baby. You give your baby out to the world, everyone loves the baby, plays with the baby, buys pizza from the baby. That's what it was. And for me, there was nothing better than that, and I was bit by that bug. Then the failure came, and I had to call my rich friend, my rich high school buddy. So I called him, and that was the hardest thing. But again, like talking about your work ethic, talking about your integrity, talking about who you are. Like your word is your bond. I called him up and I was like, Mike, he goes, I already know. I'm calling the restaurant. The phone's disconnected. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm devastated. I'm going to pay you every penny back. He goes, no, you're not. He's like, you and Mike borrowed that money. I'm going to split that loan, that 30 grand right in half. You owe me $15,000. Well, I paid him back that 15 grand in less than 3 years, which for me was $500 a month. What I was supposed to be making, I'm now paying out. And I'll never forget it. On my last payment, he sent me the most beautiful letter saying, Jeff, we didn't even have really a contract. It's like you had no obligation to pay me this debt back. I was going to write it off, but I'm so proud of you. And this payment, 10 amounts for you to, you're going to have the most successful life of all of our friends. And for me, that meant so much to me because, I'd rather sleep outside under a bridge than owe people money. For me, it was all about doing it on my own. Now, my other partner never paid a dime of that. And I look at his life and I look at mine and, karma, those things. But for me, living and dying by my word means everything. And I've had a life of dreams. Like, as I said, never, I wanted to make $100,000, then I'd be rich one day. That came and went so quickly in my life and surpassed that. And again, I was never been driven by money, but I wanted to be successful. I wanted to build community. I wanted to kind of be a pillar within whatever community I lived in and create places that became fabric, and that's what we did. I'll go through the CRG, moved to New York. I was acting, restaurant was my side job, supporting my career. Opened the first Chicho and Tony's 91 in New York City. Jimmy Lanza, who was my boss at that time, I worked for him. And because I had that pizzeria, I ended up opening as a baker. That's Jimmy on the left, me in the middle, my chef Luis. So Luis was the first chef at one of their other restaurants in New York City. He didn't speak any English, and I didn't speak any Spanish. But we just fell in love with each other's passion. And all he knew of Florida was once a year he'd put his wife and kids in the car and they'd drive to Disney World. He'd be there for a week and come back. And I used to tell him when I was a food runner for him that one day you and I are going to own restaurants in Tampa. And I'm telling you guys, there's something about speaking things that you want to do into existence. Put it out there into the universe. It's like somebody's taking an order somewhere and magically that stuff comes right to you. Ideas are shit, execution is everything. I think we just covered that with the pizzeria. You can't hire someone else to do your push-ups. So Jim Rohn. So do you guys have mentors or anyone that you guys look up to? And it doesn't need to be somebody you know, but just a raise of hands. Does anybody follow Gary Vaynerchuk or Tony Robbins, or like, do you guys get inspiration from somewhere? Super important. Like that's something, I grew up without a dad, so my mom really wanted to make sure I had male influences, so she put me in big brothers. I had 3 terrible big brothers and then 1 amazing big brother. And that amazing big brother was only with me like from my 11th year to my 13th year, but he was constantly challenging me to find mentors within my world. Like find people that you look up to. Who can it be? And every time we would sit in McDonald's or he'd take me wherever, I would have to have like my assignment was who was my mentors. So I had a lot of these people that I'd be following, and what I come to find out, it's not normal for a 12-year-old or 13-year-old kid to be looking up to somebody and researching what they do. But you guys, with your phone right now, I mean, the most powerful computer, it's 100 times stronger than what we used to send people up to space with. Everyone that you need to find is right within that phone. So whatever you guys are doing, whatever your passion is, whatever you guys are going after, find out whoever's crushing it in that field and follow them. Read what they read, listen to what they say, watch how they build their businesses. You can find all of that right online. But I'm telling you, it's the hustle within you that is going to separate you from all of your peers. And if you don't start getting it now when you're here, your parents or you guys, I don't know how you ended up coming here, but it's an amazing school. You've got amazing professors, unbelievable clubs and jobs. And, as I said, I've been an entrepreneur in residence here since 2016. I speak 3 or 4 times a year to a lot of the different classes, and I'm blown away by the innovation that's happening just on this very campus. Forbici. So this is an older PowerPoint presentation. And just to be honest with you, I researched, they did a beautiful video of me talking about what we were going to talk about. And when I first talked with them, they said, you can do a PowerPoint or you don't need to. And I was like, okay, I won't do one because I haven't cleaned this up. But then I saw like whoever you guys had last week had a beautiful PowerPoint. So I'm like, I can't go in there without that. So that's why I took this out and I cleaned it up a little bit. But anyhow, so this was my dream coming out of CRG. I just wanted to do my own restaurant on my own, raise all the money myself, and do it myself to see, can I really do this? Because, I was part of a group, a co-founder myself. My co-founder's sons grew up into the company, and they've done great with it. But, we became a group. We had 1,550 employees. 50 limited partners in the business. And I would sit at a board table of people that I had hired to ask permission to do the shit that I wanted to do in the restaurants, and that got really old for me. I created that company. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna at 50, I'm 55 now, but at 50, I reimagined my entire life because I still feel your age inside, maybe a little bit younger. I look in the mirror and I'm like, who is that old guy? But that being said, I have endless amounts of energy. I'm constantly trying to work on myself to innovate and do better. I went and studied in the mountains of Poland with Wim Hof. I don't know if you guys know who he is, the Iceman. So he's this guy that's created a method of meditation, breath work, deep holotropic breath work, and then cold exposure. And so just like anything, I got into that, and I was like, oh my God, I got to see this. And I found him online, and he's like doing a winter expedition. So I flew out there on February 24th of last year, which was a date that will live in infamy because it's the day that Putin invaded Ukraine. So I was one country over, and we had 11 Ukrainian nationals that had to go back and fight in that war the next morning. But there was 80 of us that started and 70 finished, 67 finished. But it was amazing. And again, just for myself, to challenge myself, constantly want to work hard, constantly want to be disciplined. This was a dream of mine, opened it up, and then what happens? COVID. 7 months after I opened, put a lot of money into this. My whole name is riding on this, and then the world shuts down. So, okay, that's stuff. We'll go back to that. That's another one. So here, talk about innovation. I was on spring break with my wife and kids in Key West in that early March when it all started to happen. And I'm getting calls from the restaurant, and I'm, my other partners from the other restaurants, like, what do you think we should do? Can you talk to the mayor and see what's going to happen? Are they going to allow us to stay open? Because we were hearing in the hospitality industry, you guys are the super spreaders. You're definitely getting shut down. Like, there's zero chance you're going to be able to stay. And thank God for our governor at the time, Ron DeSantis, said, I'm not doing this to these people. They can make their choice. Now, if they're scared and they think that they can close their businesses, but I'm going to allow them to stay open with no indoor dining. They can do takeout, they can fight for the business. So I came back and sat down at the table with all my managers and said, okay, I want to take your poll. Like, what are we doing? And every one of them, 5, I'm scared, we got to shut down. I'm nervous, I don't know what this is going to be like. I think we should shut. One after the other. And so it got back to me, and they're like, so what do you think? And I was like, okay, well, we're not closing down. In fact, we won't close for 1 hour. But the good news is all of you guys do not have to come here. I'm not asking you to put yourselves, if you think you're in jeopardy, go home, collect unemployment, and I will pay you the balance between what you were making and what unemployment's going to pay you. And so this way, at least you have money. But I've already started talking to some of my friends in the industry, and they're ready to come on board, and we are going to, I'm telling you, we're going to bang the drums outside and make as much noise. And I said, we're going to start by feeding all of these first responders. I'm going to put a ploy out, and that's why you see, like, I used to do these Monday motivations, which was funny because my wife is like, okay, so how about trying to be motivational on your motivations? Because I was like talking about, oh my God, this is closing down and this happened. But so anyhow, I took her advice and I put a more positive spin on it. But I would go out and talk to social media and just say, all of our great customers, you guys have been so supportive of us over the years. I know you want to help and you don't know how to help. I'm taking donations, and for every $10 you can donate to us, we're going to feed our first responders, the police, the fire, the paramedics, the ER doctors, all of the hospitals. We're going to feed all those people that are out there on the front lines, because this is March of 2020 when we were hearing this wave was coming and people were going to die. It was going to be terrible. So we raised like $11,000 or $12,000 in that first weekend. And so I called around, I scheduled all these deliveries, and my team in the back, I'm like, okay guys, we have 9 orders for Monday. And just to see the life come back into them. Like, they had purpose now. They were actually going to be cooking, and because they're all worried. And a lot of those guys in the kitchen, they live hand to mouth. So we started making all the noise, and then something happened. We were one of the first newer restaurants that stayed open, and so the news wanted to come talk. So during that COVID period, over the next 6 months, we did 13 national news pieces, like TV shows, the Today Show, MSNBC, Fox, and then we did 56 local news pieces. And my whole message to them was this: listen, we understand it's a terrible time. People are losing their lives. It's very scary. People are losing their businesses and their livelihood. And we're not judging anybody. If you don't feel safe, stay home. If you have a business and you don't feel safe opening it, close it. But we're also asking for you guys not to judge us, because there was a lot of division happening at that time. And sadly, it kind of became political. And, you know, the rule number one in hospitality is 50% of your customers are Democrats and 50% are Republicans. So you don't take sides, but that being said, we were standing for what we believed in. And we were doing things like, so I went back to my Gigamo brother days where, you know, there was no real advertising except flyers. So we started printing out menus with flyers with coupons on there, and they'd snap little holes with a little hole punch, and we put a rubber band, and I'd have all our, I said to all the staff, $10 cash an hour if you guys come in and fly our doors. And so we just had big maps up on the wall, and they would go, okay, I'm doing this neighborhood, I'm doing this neighborhood, and God, I'm telling you, the phone started ringing. People started coming, so we would put, so I'm like, okay, people are coming. My partner's like, you know, because we have live music at Forbici every single night. Let's have one of our younger kids who's like, you know, just works for tips, come in and play to the guys walking up to get their food. So we were doing that. And so I started calling my vendors. Again, I want to be value added. So I started calling all the vendors and saying, I need free shit. What can you give me? Because the whole world is shut down. Like, I came home one time and my wife was like in tears. She's like, there's no toilet paper in this entire town. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I call up Dade Paper, my wholesale supplier. I'm like, Johnny, do you guys have toilet paper? He's like, Jeff, I'm looking at 600 cases of 60 rolls. I was like, all right, send me 30 cases of that toilet paper for Monday. So I gave that to my wife. I said, make little 4-packs, put a menu in there, and drive this around to all of your families. Because what happened was the supply chain started to slow down because people were concerned and trucking industries were trying to figure out their policies, so they weren't delivering to the stores. It wasn't like there was this, you know, everyone was still there. It's not like we grew overnight, doubled the population. But if Publix isn't getting their normal toilet paper delivery, well, the shit goes very quickly. And like, you know, she came home, she's like, there's a big lady almost fought me in there. I had the one last toilet paper. I ended up giving it, she had a baby. I was like, okay, listen, we got plenty of toilet paper. So I looked at this as opportunity. So if you'll see that I put it here, so see that right there? So I had servers come in and we have pizza paper that says Forbici on it. I said, start rolling these toilet papers in our Forbici paper. And right on there, from the bottom of our hearts to your family's bottom. And we were giving a roll of toilet paper out with every to-go order. Well, this went viral for 25,000 shares. People were sharing this overnight. And again, creative mind wins in times of crisis. So again, the hustle, the same thing. We weren't stopping. I called my water company. I was like, how about if I buy a pallet and you give me a pallet? He goes, how about I just give you 2 pallets? I was like, we're not doing anything. I'd love my guys just to drive out there to Hyde Park. And I was like, okay. So we were giving, so every Friday we would either do bottles of wine. So look, thanks Forbici, free bottle of wine and free toilet paper. What more can a gal ask for? Jeff Gigante, Erica Gigante, and then we would have Forbici TP was trending. That's what we had our signs. But, you know, feeding the first responders, doing the Monday motivations where I was just kind of I was bringing people along with the story of a small business that had just opened, and they were all in. And literally, I must have signed 30 or 40 of these for people who said, this is my token of COVID, the Forbici roll of toilet paper. And I would sign that, and you know, they'd keep it in their office or whatever. So again, just being creative. Pearls, if someone was willing to take time to teach me, I was there to learn. You guys have such opportunity within this town. Whenever you're at Starbucks or Publix or whatever, you see somebody, strike up a conversation. Not to mention that whatever you guys are studying, I know you guys are all from the different schools, but find whoever's crushing in the industry that you want to go into here and ring them up and say, hey, I'd love to buy you a 15-minute Starbucks. I'm treating, just have, you know, a little information that I'd love to get from you. You're going to find the person that's going to say yes. Success takes all you have all the time. You don't need to know it all. Go out and find those who know what you don't. Every person you meet, every single one could be the person that changes everything for you and your life. Be ready and don't blow it. So Gary Vaynerchuk's a dear friend of mine, and he's one of my biggest mentors. Saying hello doesn't have an ROI. It's about building the relationship. Everything you do should be relationship driven. because you never know when those things are going to come back. And you can make the spark with those people that's going to change everything for you when you guys are ready to come out and start your life. So big part of me for the value is question and answers, because it brings real-time things that you guys are going through with my breadth of business experience that hopefully will help and kind of jar other people. So any questions? Come on. Yes.
So when you started your business and even now for Beachy, what were some of your marketing techniques for that?
So I really wanted us to be, our unofficial saying is every friend was once a stranger. And it's true, to build kind of like the Cheers of our town. And Italian is my heritage, and I grew up around a table, and food for me was, oh my God, you had a terrible day, sit down, I'll make you a bowl of pasta. Oh my God, you guys won the game, it's amazing, sit down, I'll make you a bowl of pasta. That's how we grew up. And so everything, we dealt with sorrow, we dealt with wonder, we dealt with joy, and it was all kind of communal. So I wanted to create that, and I think we did a very good job of telling the story of Forbici, of your neighborhood kind of meeting place. The food is, the value exceeds the cost. We give live entertainment every single day. No other restaurant in town does that 7 days a week. We do, I think, 10 or 11 different sets of music every week. And I think just spreading the word, not to mention, I've been building brands in town for 20 years before I started this. So people trusted me in delivering hospitality. And they were certainly going to come see if, maybe he was some of the magic over there. Let's see. And so that was great for me. But that's kind of been our brands all along. Forbici to me is like going home and slipping into a comfy old robe. I go there, we got Boulan, this big, beautiful restaurant in Union, New American, 11,000 feet, upstairs, downstairs, nightclub, the whole thing. Forbici to me is it's all heart and soul there. Questions? Yes?
I feel like you as a person, you always have something going on.
Yeah.
So what's your next project, or what are you gonna do next?
Thank you. Very good. So I raised money for a first group of restaurants, and there's 5. So right now we have 3. We're building number 4, which is Forbici in downtown St. Pete. Number 5, I've almost identified. I'm just trying to close on the property right now. So I've got 2 of those in the works coming up, but we have some other things in the works that we're not ready to talk about, but very exciting for Tampa and for the growth that's happening here. But yeah, I'm always thinking of what's going to be next. But thank you for the kind words. Yeah.
Yeah, so what advice would you give yourself when you were 20 starting that pizzeria? Also, what is your favorite place to eat other than Forbici?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. So the advice that I would give myself is slow down. You have so much time. I still feel now at 55, I've got endless amounts of time because of how much innovation has happened technologically and with people. And, for me, I get such a charge out of speaking to the future leaders because I like to pick their brains and create concepts with them. And that's why, I've started multiple businesses out of this school here. And I've done very, very well with that. But for me, it's, don't try to avoid the failures of your life because within them lie your biggest education. My biggest education and how I got on the right path was from things up royally. Chigamo Brothers, all the things that I did not do well led me down the narrowing path of success. And so that was a huge thing. And what I like to eat in town other than my places, I still like going back to the old CRG spots. I love Cafe Paradiso over on McDill. They're a great old mom and pop Italian shop. There's great food coming in. On Swan, I think, is good. They do a nice job there. I'm still finding restaurants. I mean, it's hard for me because I do the restaurants every single night. So on my nights off, I really don't want to go out to a restaurant. It's hard to turn my brain off. Any other questions? Yes.
It kind of follows her question, but going back, looking back at everything you did, would you change anything?
I would never change anything. every hard road, like for me, it was all leading me to where I am today. I just spoke, we've been opening restaurants for the last year. We opened up Boulan in January, and then we opened up Union in April. So we got away from a lot of our meetings and our culture rallies. So we just did one at Boulan, and it was so good to get back to it. And I just told him, I said, we've been in execution mode. We've been actually, all the babies are alive and crying is what I say, because we've got everything open now. Now we've got to tweak things and make things right. But I could start to feel that, more employees were coming in. They didn't all know me. They didn't understand my heart and what my drive was. So we're now monthly speaking to everybody. So each restaurant has between 100 and 200 employees. So to get everybody together, it's kind of a hard thing to do. So we're scheduling that. But we call them the all hands meetings, where they can talk about things. We can tell them about what we're doing as a company and as a brand. We re-hit our vision and our mission. And we talk about the culture attributes that make us different from everybody else. But it's important to be amongst your teams. Like, I told them, so I will lie and say I didn't say this, but so Boulan has been awarded Best New Restaurant and Best New Bar. And so that's coming out on the 26th. And so we were able to kind of announce that to the team early, so they got to understand that and be super excited. But for me, we want this company to be built amongst itself and have all of our people within. We have this young man right here who works for us. He's excellent. Makes some of the best cappuccino you'll ever have. But, and what do we say all the time is that every job is for the taking, even mine. But you want my job, you better come correct, because it takes all you have all the time. But please, somebody semi-retire me. I would love that. Another question I heard over here.
How would you describe your leadership style with your team, as you live and die by the people who are working for you?
Yeah, so my leadership style, I want to be super involved. Like, I want them to see, and I want to be an example to them. So I'm in the stores daily, and I'm looking and I'm tweaking. But now what I've learned is that because we have lots of employees and we've made a big splash in Tampa this year, that some of the newer people that don't know me just kind of freeze when I approach them. So now what I'm doing is, allowing those people to know that they can talk to me about anything at any time, open door all the time. But now I'm going to my leaders and I'm letting them know my observations and what I would think that the natural cure to that would be. And then I want them to kind of take that and implement that cure as theirs. Because I just think that, helping the leaders lead and giving them the empowerment to be, come in and make decisions. And, that's the biggest part of that is, like, we found all these amazing people. Now don't micromanage them on every single, so we just put in an implementation of they can spend up to $1,000 without having to get permission from us. Like, if they need something in their store, anything over that, I'd like to know about it and we can have a conversation, because I think I could do whatever they're doing better and save them money. So that benefits their bottom line on their bonuses and, profit. We also start all of our salaried leaders. We have about 170 of them in the company with 22 paid days off. They start with 4.5 weeks of paid days off, which doesn't exist in hospitality. Hospitality companies are notorious for, you're working every weekend, you're working every holiday. I don't want to hear about Christmas or Thanksgiving. We close Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I want this to be what people do and be their choice for that to become who they are. You know what I mean? Like, I really, I just said this today, that I understand this is what you do, but like your friends, your family, your hobbies, that's who you are. And that's paramount. You got to be happy in order to do, what you love and to be with those people that you love. So, yeah.
What tips do you have to stay super persistent and driven when you have a goal?
Discipline. Mike Tyson defines discipline as doing shit that you hate and doing it like you love it. Discipline is hard and it's monotonous but it is going to be the golden rule for you. You showing up when other people don't want to. you being the first one in, the last one to leave, you just being, you know, aware enough to say, hey, can I help you with that? I see that you're doing this and this is easy for me and I already finished my stuff over here. Those are the things. Discipline is everything. And, you know, having your stick-to-itiveness and your hard work ethic and relationship skills and talking to people. And, you know, for me, it's like, it all comes back to relationships. Every business I've ever started, I can tell you the relationship, you know, nucleus of that.
Yeah, as far as relationships grow, I just want to ask you, this generation is so digitally connected. They use Slack, GroupMe, they barely sometimes ever talk to one
Right.
another. And they kind of get this feeling that, well, I can run the business or I can lead, I can do this, I don't really need to do in-person stuff. So I want to just have your perspective of how important is in-person with people if you're a leader or you own a business?
In person is literally undisputed. Yeah, the technology is amazing. Use it to your advantage, but don't substitute your technology and texting with the good old-fashioned, hey, meet me at Starbucks down there. I want to talk with you about it. I want to get some FaceTime. Like, it, you know, and one of the slides where, you know, Steve Jobs talks about like the water cooler. Well, that's a foreign notion to you guys. I mean, that was, you know, 100 years ago for us old guys. But the water cooler would kind of be where you would talk about like the week and what's happening. Oh, and the wife's doing this and we're going to have a barbecue and like that thing. So that's kind of gone away in this digital age. What I'm saying to you guys, like what you're doing right here, right now, this is the most important thing, having that connection. Now, I'm not saying don't supplement it by your digital world, but understand what listening is rather than just being somewhere and typing something. Listen, get it all in, and then get really good at revamping what was said. And ask questions. It's the most important thing. You know, intentional listening and being an active listener is a skill now. And I see it because, you know, I employ people this age. Largely our group is made up of, you know, the youth. And they're amazing, but again, like simple things about like, oh, I didn't get that email or I didn't get that text. I was like, well, does your phone still have a dialing function where it'll ring and someone else can pick it up? I was like, it's very simple. Reach out, have a conversation. And I'm not saying have long ones, you know, but SMS, short message service, does, you know, you lose all tonality, all intention, all, you know, personality. Texts are hard. And I know this because when I text my wife something that like she's lit about, I'm like, how did you get that out of that? Well, I just know your tone. I can just tell you're mad right now or you're, you know, I was like, that's not at all what I was doing and I'm sorry. So I pick up the phone a lot.
Probably have time for one more question.
Okay.
It's more of a business-related question.
Sure.
I know the cost of produce, especially like chicken, meats, like it's only going up and up. How do you what are some of the most effective ways you've been able to cut costs without really putting it all on the customer?
Well, as I said, we always try to be a value-oriented, but you know, we built these big restaurants and they're millions and millions of dollars. So we have to charge, you know, a premium. So what we do is we will look at portion sizes because a lot of times we're like, you know, people are like, oh my God, you give me too much food. Like I eat 2 or 3 meals out of that. And so before I start raising menu prices, we will cut 5, 6, 7% off a portion and see if our guests see that and go, hey, wait a second, this chicken parm is not the same as the, you know, last time. And 9.5 out of 10 times, they never say a word. So that's usually how we try to do that. Now with labor increasing and, you know, minimum wage, which was never meant to be a living wage, it's constantly climbing. We are having to raise prices, but in the sector that we're in, laid back luxury, we give a lot of vibe and entertainment and hospitality for what we're charging. I think people are fine with what we've been doing. Like I you know, because I'm constantly looking at reviews. Now reviews that are actually left are only 1% of our, you know, we feed about 90,000 people a month at the 3 restaurants. So that's a lot of people. But if you looked at all of our reviews, there's like maybe 6,000 reviews in total amongst the 3 restaurants. So it's such a small portion of what comes in. But I look at them and see if people are like, this is super expensive or I didn't find the value there. And you know, we make adjustments, micro adjustments. guys, I really, really appreciate you having me here. I wanted to bring value. I hope that something I said resonated with you. You know, they have all of my information. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you guys ever have questions, I'm happy to take them. But how that works is I'm super busy, so if it takes me a day or 2 or 3 to get back to you, don't give me some shitty comment or, you know, be snarky with me. I will get back to you though, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. We're building brands. We're always hiring. So, you know, please reach out to us if you guys are looking for some summer money or some winter money or any kind of money. And I have multiple other businesses outside of the restaurants. We didn't get to talk about that, but thank you guys so much for having me.